Welcome to Ab Memorabili, from time beyond memory. I'm Drake,
And I'm Holly, where ancient wisdom meets modern minds.
brought to you by the most ancient anamnetic order of Trikala, for seekers everywhere. Whether you're walking with us or simply curious about the path,
Each episode, we explore the hidden patterns that connect philosophy, consciousness, and human transformation.
drawing from traditions east and west, old and new, familiar and forgotten.
Because some truths exist outside of time, waiting to be remembered, not learned.
On this episode, we're tuning into an ancient discovery that suggests the entire universe might be singing. That reality itself is built on mathematical harmonies that Pythagoras discovered 2,500 years ago, and that modern physics is only now beginning to rediscover.
Drake, when most people hear Pythagoras, they think of that theorem about right triangles they learned in school. But that's like knowing Shakespeare only for his handwriting.
Exactly. Pythagoras wasn't primarily a mathematician in our modern sense. He was a mystic, a philosopher, arguably the first person to call himself a philosopher, a lover of wisdom. And his greatest discovery wasn't about triangles, but about the fundamental nature of reality itself.
The idea that everything, literally everything, is number and harmony.
And not just abstractly. Pythagoras believed and demonstrated that the same mathematical ratios that create beautiful music also govern the movements of planets, the growth of plants, the structure of the human body, even consciousness itself.
It sounds almost too poetic to be true. Yet modern physics keeps confirming it. String theory, proposing that all particles are vibrating strings, quantum mechanics showing reality as waves and frequencies.
But let's start with the story that began it all, the legend of Pythagoras and the blacksmith shop.
Oh, this is one of my favorite origin stories in philosophy.
So Pythagoras is walking past a blacksmith's forge, and he hears these hammers striking anvils. But instead of random clanging, he notices that certain hammers produce harmonious sounds together, while others create discord.
And being Pythagoras, he doesn't just notice and move on, he investigates.
He discovers that the hammers producing harmony have specific weight ratios. When one hammer weighs exactly twice as much as another, they produce an octave, the most perfect harmony. When the ratio is 3 to 2, they produce a perfect fifth. The ratio 4 to 3 gives a perfect fourth.
Simple whole number ratios creating musical harmony. It seems obvious now, but this was revolutionary.
Because it suggested that beauty, harmony, what pleases our ears and souls, it's not subjective or arbitrary. It's mathematical. It follows precise laws that can be discovered and understood.
Now, historians debate whether this blacksmith story actually happened or if it's a teaching myth. But what's undeniable is that Pythagoras and his followers discovered the mathematical basis of musical harmony.
They did it with an instrument called a monochord, essentially a single string that could be divided at different points. Divide it exactly in half, and you get an octave. Divide it at 2/3, you get a fifth. These aren't approximations. They're exact mathematical relationships.
And here's what blows my mind. These same ratios appear everywhere in nature. The spiral of a nautilus shell, the arrangement of seeds in a sunflower, the proportions of the human body.
The famous golden ratio, phi, approximately 1.618, which the Pythagoreans revered, shows up in everything from DNA helixes to galaxy spirals.
It's as if nature itself is composing according to mathematical principles, creating a kind of cosmic symphony.
Which is exactly what Pythagoras believed. He coined the term music of the spheres. The idea that the planets and stars literally produce music as they move through space, following harmonic ratios in their orbits.
Medieval thinkers took this literally, believing we couldn't hear this celestial music because we'd been hearing it since birth, like how we don't notice the sound of our own breathing.
But even taken metaphorically, it's profound. Johannes Kepler, discovering the laws of planetary motion 2,000 years later, was explicitly inspired by Pythagorean ideas. He found that planetary orbits follow harmonic ratios. It's deceptively simple, just 10 dots arranged in a triangle. 1 dot at the top, 2 below it, 3 below that, 4 at the base.
But those numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, contain all of musical harmony. The ratios between them create the octave, 2 to 1, the fifth, 3 to 2, and the fourth, 4 to 1, 3.
And when you add them up, 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, you get 10, which the Pythagoreans considered the perfect number, containing all possibilities.
But it goes deeper. The tetractys also represents dimensions. 1 point, 0 dimensions. 2 points make a line, 1 dimension. 3 points make a plane, 2 dimensions. 4 points make a solid, 3 dimensions.
So this simple symbol encodes music, mathematics, and the structure of space itself. No wonder they considered it sacred.
The order teaches something similar about sacred geometry, that certain patterns and proportions are keys to understanding consciousness itself.
And modern science keeps validating these ancient insights. Cymatics, the study of visible sound, shows that sound frequencies create geometric patterns in physical mediums. Sand on a vibrating plate forms perfect geometric shapes at specific frequencies.
I've seen those experiments. It's extraordinary. As you increase the frequency, the patterns become more complex but remain perfectly ordered. It's like watching mathematics become visible.
And consider this: our DNA, the blueprint of life, vibrates at specific frequencies. Some researchers suggest that DNA actually receives and transmits electromagnetic signals, that it's essentially an antenna tuned to cosmic frequencies.
Drake, let's address the elephant in the room, or rather the theorem in the room, the Pythagorean theorem that everyone knows.
A squared plus b squared equals c squared. The relationship between the sides of a right triangle.
Which seems purely abstract, but the Pythagoreans saw even this as mystical. The right triangle with sides 3, 4, and 5, the simplest Pythagorean triple, was sacred to them.
Because again, whole numbers creating perfect relationships. And this theorem appears everywhere in nature. It governs how waves propagate, how forces combine, how distances work in space.
Einstein's theory of relativity is essentially a four-dimensional version of the Pythagorean theorem.
Exactly. The equation for space-time intervals is basically Pythagoras in 4 dimensions. The ancient theorem contains the seed of modern physics.
But here's where it gets philosophically interesting. This raises the question, is mathematics discovered or invented?
The great debate of mathematical Platonism. Do mathematical truths exist independently, waiting to be discovered? Or are they human constructs we impose on reality?
Pythagoras would definitely say discovered. He believed numbers were the most real things in existence, more fundamental than physical objects.
And many modern mathematicians agree. Eugene Wigner wrote about the unreasonable effectiveness of mathematics in the natural sciences. Why should abstract mathematical concepts dreamed up by humans perfectly describe physical reality?
Unless those mathematical concepts aren't human inventions, but discoveries of patterns that were always there.
Like how the Mandelbrot set, with its infinite fractal complexity, was always there in mathematical space, waiting for computers to reveal it.
Let's talk about string theory, because it's essentially a modern version of Pythagorean cosmology.
It really is. String theory proposes that the fundamental constituents of reality aren't particles, but tiny vibrating strings. Different vibration patterns create different particles: electrons, quarks, photons.
So an electron isn't a thing, it's a process, a particular pattern of vibration. Just like how a note on a guitar isn't the string itself, but the string's vibration.
And just as musical notes combine to create chords and harmonies, these fundamental vibrations combine to create all the complexity we see in the universe.
The universe as a vast symphony, each particle a note, each interaction a harmony or discord.
Pythagoras would be delighted, though he'd probably say, "I told you so," in ancient Greek.
With a very long beard nodding sagely.
But there's something deeper here about consciousness and vibration. Many contemplative traditions speak of consciousness in terms of vibration or frequency.
The idea that different states of consciousness are like different frequencies. Fear vibrates at a lower frequency than love, for instance.
Which sounds new agey until you realize that brain states actually do have different frequencies. Beta waves for normal waking consciousness, alpha for relaxation, theta for deep meditation, delta for deep sleep.
And practices like chanting, drumming, or binaural beats can entrain the brain to specific frequencies, inducing different states of consciousness.
The Pythagoreans practice something similar. They use music therapeutically, playing specific modes to induce different psychological states, one for courage, another for contemplation, another for healing.
There's another aspect of Pythagorean thought that fascinates me: their vegetarianism and belief in metempsychosis, the transmigration of souls.
Yes, Pythagoras believed souls could reincarnate into different bodies, even animal bodies. Hence, eating animals might be eating someone's grandmother.
But I think it goes deeper than that. If everything is vibration and number, then the boundaries between different forms of life become less solid. We're all variations on the same fundamental frequencies,
Different harmonics of the same cosmic song?
which has ethical implications. If we're all part of the same harmonic whole, then causing discord, violence, injustice literally disturbs the cosmic harmony.
The Pythagoreans took this very seriously. They believed that living according to proper ratios, in diet, in behavior, in thought, helped maintain both personal and cosmic harmony.
It's like tuning yourself as an instrument to resonate properly with the universe.
The order teaches something similar, that practices aren't just for personal development, but for harmonizing with larger patterns of consciousness. Holly, there's a mystical aspect to Pythagorean number theory we should explore. The idea that numbers themselves have qualities, almost personalities.
Right? Not just quantities, but qualities. One represents unity, the monad, the source of all things.
2 represents duality, separation, the first step away from unity. 3 represents harmony, the resolution of duality. 4 represents solidity, material manifestation.
And certain numbers were considered perfect, like 6. It equals the sum of its divisors. 1 plus 2 plus 3 equals 6.
Or 28 minus 1 plus 2 plus 4 plus 7 plus 14 equals 28. These perfect numbers are incredibly rare. The third one is 496. The fourth is 8,128.
The Pythagoreans saw these as divine signatures, proof that number underlies reality in ways that go beyond human understanding.
And they were fascinated by irrational numbers, particularly the square root of 2, which can't be expressed as a ratio of whole numbers.
Legend says they tried to keep this secret because it threatened their worldview that everything could be expressed in whole number ratios.
One story claims they murdered Hippasus for revealing the existence of irrational numbers.
Whether true or not, it shows how seriously they took these ideas. This wasn't abstract mathematics, it was about the nature of reality itself. Let's bring this to the present. How do these Pythagorean insights apply to our daily lives?
Well, think about how sensitive we are to harmony and discord in our environment. Certain spaces feel peaceful, others agitating. Some color combinations please us, others jar.
Architecture that follows golden ratio proportions tends to feel more beautiful, more right somehow.
Music in certain keys affects our emotions predictably. Minor keys for melancholy, major for joy. These aren't cultural conventions. They're based on mathematical relationships that our consciousness responds to.
So, understanding these principles could help us design our lives more harmoniously. Our spaces, our schedules, our relationships.
Pythagoreans certainly thought so. They structured their entire communities around harmonic principles. They woke at specific times, ate certain foods in certain proportions, studied in patterns that followed in numerical sequences.
It sounds rigid, but maybe they were onto something about rhythm and routine creating harmony.
Think about circadian rhythms, our bodies following the 24-hour cycle of Earth's rotation, or how women's menstrual cycles often synchronize when living together. We're constantly in training to various rhythms around us.
The question is whether we're conscious of it. Are we choosing our rhythms, or being unconsciously pulled into whatever frequencies surround us?
Social media algorithms, for instance, are designed to create addictive rhythms, the intermittent reinforcement schedule that keeps us scrolling.
So becoming conscious of the rhythms and ratios in our lives might be a form of liberation.
There's something profound about how the Pythagoreans approached knowledge. They divided their students into 2 groups: the akousmatikoi, the listeners, and the mathematikoi, the learners.
The listeners received the teachings as doctrine, while the learners were taught the reasoning behind them.
But both were considered necessary. Some truths can be grasped intellectually, others must be experienced, lived, embodied.
It's like music itself. You can understand the mathematics of harmony intellectually, but that's different from experiencing beautiful music emotionally.
Or like the orders approach, philosophical understanding combined with practical tools and embodied practices, multiple ways of knowing the same truths.
Pythagoras supposedly said, there is geometry in the humming of the strings, there is music in the spacing of the spheres.
Showing that mathematics and mysticism, reason and beauty, aren't opposites, but different faces of the same reality.
Drake, I want to explore the darker side of this worldview. If everything is mathematical harmony, how do we account for discord, chaos, evil?
The Pythagoreans struggled with this. They had concepts of unlimited or indefinite as opposing principles to the limited and definite. Chaos as necessary for cosmos to define itself against.
Like how music needs silence between notes, or how harmony only makes sense in contrast to potential discord.
Exactly. And modern chaos theory shows that even apparent randomness follows deep mathematical patterns. The butterfly effect, strange attractors, chaos has its own kind of order.
So, maybe what we experience as discord is just harmony at a scale or frequency we can't perceive.
That's a beautiful thought, like how dissonance in music creates tension that makes resolution more satisfying. What seems like discord might be necessary for a larger harmony.
Though that's easy to say philosophically and harder to accept when experiencing real suffering.
True. The Pythagoreans weren't saying suffering isn't real, but that understanding the hidden harmonies might help us navigate discord more skillfully.
Let's talk about sacred geometry beyond the tetractys. The Pythagoreans were obsessed with the five Platonic solids.
The only five three-dimensional shapes where every face is the same regular polygon: tetrahedron, cube, octahedron, dodecahedron, icosahedron.
They associated each with an element. The tetrahedron with fire, because it's the sharpest. The cube with earth, because it's the most stable.
The octahedron with air, the icosahedron with water, and the dodecahedron with its 12 pentagonal faces, they associated with the cosmos itself.
What's remarkable is these shapes appear throughout nature. Crystals form as cubes and octahedrons. Many viruses are icosahedral. The arrangement of carbon atoms in diamonds is tetrahedral.
As if nature has a limited palette of fundamental forms and creates all diversity through their combination and variation.
It reminds me of how DNA uses just 4 bases to encode all biological diversity, or how all matter is made from a handful of fundamental particles.
Simplicity underlying complexity. Unity beneath multiplicity. Very Pythagorean principles.
Drake, we should talk about how Pythagorean ideas influenced later philosophy because the impact is enormous.
Absolutely. Plato was heavily influenced. His theory of forms is essentially Pythagorean. The idea that perfect mathematical forms underlie imperfect physical reality.
The Academy had, "Let no one ignorant of geometry enter here," inscribed over its entrance.
And through Plato, Pythagorean ideas influenced all of Western philosophy. The Cambridge Platonists, Kepler, Newton, all drew on Pythagorean concepts.
Even modern physicists. Paul Dirac said, God used beautiful mathematics in creating the world.
Einstein spent his later years searching for a unified field theory, convinced that the universe must follow beautiful mathematical principles.
Though he also said the eternal mystery of the world is its comprehensibility. Why should mathematics work so well in describing reality?
Unless reality is mathematics, as Pythagoras suggested, not described by mathematics but actually made of it.
Max Tegmark, the MIT physicist, has proposed exactly that, the mathematical universe hypothesis, that our physical reality is literally a mathematical structure.
We've come full circle to Pythagoras. 2,500 years later, cutting-edge physics proposes what the mystic from Samos intuited.
You know what strikes me, Drake? The Pythagoreans weren't just studying these principles, they were living them. Their communities were attempts to create harmonious microcosms.
Yes, they had rules about everything. When to speak, when to be silent, what to eat, how to sleep, all based on creating optimal harmony.
Some of it seems extreme, like the prohibition against eating beans because they cause flatulence, which disrupts bodily harmony.
Though modern science shows gut bacteria do affect consciousness, so maybe they were onto something.
But the principle is profound that how we live, what we consume, our daily rhythms, all contribute to our harmonic state.
It's holistic in the true sense. Everything connected, everything affecting everything else through resonance and vibration.
The order embodies this understanding. That transformation requires harmony between mind, body, and spirit. You can't just understand principles intellectually. You have to live them.
As we near the end, Holly, I keep thinking about what it means that the universe might be fundamentally mathematical. It's both comforting and vertigo inducing.
Comforting because it suggests order, pattern, meaning. Vertigo inducing because are we just equations? Complex algorithms playing out?
But maybe that's the wrong way to think about it. Music is mathematical, but that doesn't make it less beautiful or meaningful. Perhaps consciousness is what happens when mathematics becomes aware of itself.
The universe composing itself and then developing ears to hear its own music.
That's poetic and profound. We're not separate from the cosmic harmony, we're how it experiences itself.
Which means when we study mathematics or create music, we are participating in something fundamental about reality.
The Pythagoreans would say we're remembering anamnesis again, the soul recognizing the harmonies it knew before birth.
Whether literally true or metaphorically, there's something powerful about seeing mathematical beauty not as human invention, but as cosmic recognition.
And perhaps that's Pythagoras' greatest gift. Not any specific discovery, but the insight that beauty, truth, and number are intimately connected. That the universe has an aesthetic dimension that's also mathematical.
That seeking harmony in music, in mathematics, in life, is aligning ourselves with the fundamental nature of reality.
Living in tune with the music of the spheres, whether we can hear it or not. Thank you for joining us for this exploration.
Ab immemorabili, from time beyond memory.
Until next time, keep questioning, keep growing.
And remember, the wisdom you seek has always been within you.
You're not learning it.